Moving on from the last episode where I pulled the engine and transmission, this time I'm going to be removing everything from the car, prepping the wheel wells for paint, as well as doing a little other stuff here and there. So let's get started. Now that I've removed the engine, I'm just going to start going one by one, top to bottom, and just remove everything in the engine bay. Windshield wiper motor. Vacuum line for brake booster. Fuel pressure regulator. Fuel filter. Push this harness back through. Push the other side of the harness through. Ignition coil. Get through there. Power steering fluid reservoir. Power steering line. Brake master cylinder. Brake booster. This thing is probably the biggest pain as far as installing and then also kind of removing. It's one of the more challenging ones. Clutch master cylinder. Throttle cable. Power cable. Passenger side brake line. Driver side brake line. Clutch slave cylinder. Plus clutch line. Plus clutch slave cylinder bracket. Rear brake line. The only thing that's left to be removed is the front cross member, and then the tension rod brackets and the coilovers. Drop that entire thing, as well as the steering column. I'm keeping it in there up until I get very close to painting the car, just so that way in case I need to move the car around at all, I still have the wheels on it and I can easily just push it around and get it into spots or whatever I have to do with it. And then when it actually comes really close to painting and I know the car is just going to stay in one spot, then I'll drop all this cross member off of it and actually be able to paint it nicely. Now I'm going to move on to the interior. Clutch pedal, brake pedal, gas pedal, deck pedal, a little shifter cover for the tranny hole, passenger seat, passenger seat belt, handbrake and handbrake cable, fire extinguisher and mounting bracket. Something cool is that that's a full custom electrical panel right there, so that only takes 5 screws to unbolt the entire thing. Electrical panel and wiring harness officially out. Battery out. Battery relocation box. Trunk and gas tank latch. Seat removed. Pro 6-point harness. Roll bar padding, passenger's handle. Now that that stuff was removed, I went on to plugging the holes in the wheel wells where the old harness ran. It's pretty simple. Basically make a template, cut out a piece of metal, weld it in place, and sand it smooth. Now I have a template of the hole. There we go. Just stacked a bunch of tacks. Doesn't really have any structural purpose, kind of just filling it in. Then I repeated the process on the other side. Sanding time. Cut my finger right there. Little heads up, you should probably be careful. As soon as you get comfortable with any of your tools, it'll end up biting you. I couldn't run the guard on that angle grinder because that flap disc is brand new. And when the flap discs are brand new, they're too big for the guard. So yeah, I should pay attention more, but yeah. That's all sanded smooth. And this side's all sanded smooth. And now back to removing more parts. Hood. The windshield wiper mechanism. So front cross numbers now out. Anyways, I gotta start going through the car now. Start moving all of these small plastic caps. They go, I mean, they're like everywhere. Gotta remove all that before paint. So that's gonna be the next challenge. All those rubber grommets there. Get all that done. I've capped off the front end here with a piece of 16 gauge. That way it's not all sharp and it actually looks more like a finished product. So this is all just welded. And then I take it back down with a flap disc on an angle grinder. Make it all nice and smooth so I can paint over it and it looks like a complete piece. Doors off. Other door. Then I moved on to prepping the wheel wells for paint. Now, this is a very time-consuming process, but I think it really makes the car stand out. And whenever you see someone with painted wheel wells, you're like, that's like baller level of like, you know what I'm saying? Like you look at it and you see the wheel wells are prepped and painted, it's like, nice. Here's underneath in the wheel wells, this is how it looks. You get all this type of undercoating stuff going on. Now on this side, you have the one that I've already taken down with the wire wheel. You can see all that sort of stuff is removed, so it's basically just like the OEM primer underneath over here. It's going to make it a nice, smooth surface to paint on. It's going to come out looking good. So believe it or not, that actually took like days to prep both wheel wells and like wire wheel everything off. But anyways, I got that out of the way eventually. And then I moved on to the next task. Next thing I'm gonna remove are these two brackets right here. These are meant for the stock bumper, and they basically bolt the underside of the stock bumper right here, which I'm obviously not running, and I'm running a bash bar, so these are completely pointless. So I'm gonna take these off. I'll just grind away at the spot welds here that hold it in place. I also cut off and cleaned up the factory bumper support bracket because I no longer needed it since I have the bash bar, which is on separate mounts. So that was more prep done, and now I moved on to a whole other thing, which is when I removed the windshield to add the gussets for the cage, the windshield was installed actually poorly because I guess the previous owner or something replaced it, and so water had leaked in there and part of the A-pillar had rusted through on the outside. So I ground out all the rusted metal on the outside and then filled that in with the welder and then sanded it smooth. So I have my rust holes right here. Sanded them down, so I'm gonna fill them now with welds and then sand them smooth. There you go, I filled all this in with weld now. I'm just gonna grind it down, so what's gonna do next? Now it's all filled in. But that was that. I eventually got it looking smooth and good, so no more rust holes there. And I know, I already know some people are going to be commenting about the structural integrity. It's maybe 3 square inches of the outside sheet of metal on the A-pillar. Not only that, but the car is fully caged, plus it's gusseted to the A-pillar. That's not like a, oh, I'm going to die now because the A-pillar has 3 square inches of rust that I filled in with the welder. Hope you enjoyed and learned something as always. Next video, we're going to be actually laying some paint down on the interior and engine bay. So I'll see you guys there. This is that FD legal height right here. Bleh. Bleh. Bleh.